Layidim, oh, it's so vital. Esimcho, Esusan, B'Kol, Layidim, Layidim, oh, yeah, it's so vital. Esimcho, Esusan, B'Kol, Layidim, Layidim, oh, it's so vital. Esimcho, Esusan, B'Kol, oh, Layidim, Layidim, oh, yeah, it's so vital. Esimcho, Esusan, B'Kol, Layidim, Layidim, oh, yeah, it's so vital. Esimcho, Esusan, B'Kol.
Hello everyone, sorry I'm not with you this weekend. In lieu of our Dvar Halacha, let's talk about something that's going to be relevant, God willing, this Monday night, and that is, do you have to stand up for the Berachot of the Megilla? An open Mishnah says that you could sit or stand for Megillah reading itself, so that's up to you. However, for the Berachot of the Megillah that we say before, and the bracha afterwards, do you have to stand up or not? Comes along the Magen Avraham and says, look in Siman Chet, look in Siman Kuf Mem Vav, you have to stand for the bracha. This is something that the Mishnah Berurah paskins miu habracha yevarech ba'amida. Namely, the person making the brachot has to stand up. The question is, do the congregation have to stand up? And I believe this will be dependent on, do you stand up for Berachot HaMitzvah, brachot that we say before a mitzvah? Comes along the Orchot Chaim, Rav Aharon from Lunil, one of the Rishonim from the 13th century, and says, no, there are 5 brachot that we say before a mitzvah that you have to stand up for, and only 5, and that is Sfirat HaOmer, Tzitzis, Lulav, Bris Milah, and Shofar. All the rest, you're allowed to sit down. Explains the Penei Yehoshua, Rabbi Yehoshua Falk, 1680 to 1756. He explains that ultimately, the reason that you're allowed to sit down for all the rest of the brachot that we say before other mitzvot is for a very simple reason. You only have to stand for the bracha prior if you have to stand for the mitzvah right after the bracha. Namely, since we stand up for lulav, therefore we have to stand up for the bracha before lulav. Since we stand up for Sfirat HaOmer, you have to stand up for the bracha prior. But since Megillah reading is allowed to be read sitting down, there's no reason to stand up for that bracha. In opinion number 2 is brought all the way back from the Gaonim. The Gaonim say that on every Birkat HaMitzvah you must stand up. And the Sefer HaEshkol quotes it and explains that Al Birkot HaMitzvah she'en bahem ha'ana'a ka'amar. Namely, we're only talking about Birkot HaMitzvah on mitzvot that don't give you pleasure. What kind of mitzvot give you pleasure? For example, sukkah. It's not like we don't enjoy the sukkah. We eat there, we drink there, we host guests there. That you don't have to stand up for. You can say Elishev Basukkah sitting down. But on a mitzvah that you don't get personal benefit from, such as Megillah reading, you must stand up. This position is repeated by the Orchot Chaim, Rav Aharon Milunil, 13th century. And eventually, this probably explains the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says that in the morning when you put on your talis, yitatef b'tzitzit v'yivarech mu'umad, and explains the Mishnah Berurah, dechol berkot hamitzvot tzarich liot ba'amidah. All the brachot of mitzvot, it makes no difference how you do the mitzvah, you must stand. A third opinion doesn't come along and say that you have to stand for only certain mitzvot or all the mitzvot, but rather, for Birkas HaTorah, the person making the bracha stands. Why? Dahave davar shebikdusha, explains the Magen Avraham. The Machatzita Shekel comes along and says, V'sham katav linyan birkat HaTorah, v'lo have atam ki'im mishum dahave davar shebikdusha. When you say a davar shebikdusha, which is things that you need a minyan for, Kadesh, Kedusha, Baruch Hu, the person saying it must stand up. So far, according to the Geonim, as quoted by the Eshkol and the Orchot Chaim, the person making the bracha must stand for the bracha he's going to make on Megillah reading. According to Orchot Chaim number 2, only on 5 mitzvot, and Megillah is not one of them, and as explained by the Pnei Yehoshua, because we don't fulfill the mitzvah by standing up. And according to the Magen Avraham, as explained by the Machatzita Shekel, only for a davar shebikdusha, and since you can lay Megillah without a minyan, it doesn't qualify. Well, plugging it into Megillah, only according to the Gaonim, the person making the bracha have to stand. What about the congregation? Here, there's a funny monkey wrench. Comes along the Shulchan Aruch regarding Tkiyat Shofar and says that if a guy made a bracha on the shofar, started to blow, and he's not doing a good job, you can switch him. And the guy that switches him takes over. He doesn't have to make another bracha. Why? Because he heard the bracha from the first guy, explains the Magen Avraham. It's not like an aliyah where each person that gets up has to make the bracha. When you made the bracha on shofar, you had in mind to fulfill it for everyone in the shul. Same thing is true, not good just with regard to shofar, but with regard to haftorah. The guy starts reading the haftorah, said the bracha at the beginning, and then got stuck and someone switches him. The Magen Avraham comes along and says that he should make the bracha first. Even though according to the Rambam he doesn't have to, he thinks you do. And it's not like shofar, explains the Magen Avraham. Why? With regard to shofar, everyone's obligated in hearing shofar. And therefore, when you made that bracha, you did it on behalf of everyone. Everyone is obligated to hear the shofar, and you made the bracha on behalf of everyone. Haftorah is a communal obligation. So one guy is doing it on behalf of the community. When you heard the bracha, you didn't have kavana to latzeit yedei chova. So if you're switching Mr. Haftorah, you have to make another bracha. Plugging it in now to Megillah, comes the Magen Avraham and says, "Im nishtateka koreh be'emtza Megillah, sheni en tzarich l'orech tchila diyotzeh beberkat harishon, ta'asa bracha b'shvil kol hakahal." Indeed, with regard to Megillah reading, since everyone's obligated, the first guy who made the bracha did it on behalf of everyone. So even if you split up the prakim, each member of the congregation reads another one of the chapters, you don't have to make another bracha because everyone is obligated in Megillah reading. And the bracha you heard at the beginning was on behalf of everyone. Based on this comes the Machatzit Shekel, consistent to his point of view, and says, if that is the case, when Mr. Bracha Maker is making the bracha, everyone is Yotzeh. That means it's as if everyone is making the bracha. Sham mevarech motzeh bebirkato kol hakahal. And therefore, the person hearing the Megillah should also make the bracha. But this guy's doing it on our behalf, and therefore, it's like shomea ka'oneh. When I hear it, I'm fulfilling my obligation. And therefore, just like Mr. Bracha Maker is saying the bracha on behalf of everyone, and it's as if I'm making it, and he's standing, so too I have to stand. So to make a long story very, very short, it could very well be you don't have to stand up for the bracha on Megillah. But according to those that say you do have to stand up for all Birkot HaMitzvah, when it comes to Megillah reading, since the Birkat HaMitzvah is on behalf of everyone, Mr. Bracha Maker is making it on behalf of me. It's as if I'm making it, and therefore I have to stand up with him. And that happens to be the colloquial custom, namely, even though we paskin that you can read the Megillah sitting down, Mishum Kvod HaTzibur, says the Shulchan Aruch, the Megillah reader stands. The Megillah reader usually makes the bracha standing up too, or probably in accordance with the opinions that for any brach, any mitzvah, any birkat mitzvah, you stand, or according to the opinion that says you're standing for the mitzvah itself, mishum kvod hatzibur, you should stand for the bracha. Whatever it might be, since the bracha is fulfilling the obligation also for me, I also have to stand up while he makes the bracha.